Structural unawareness. You have a mind. That mind has dimensions it works in. Things it can notice, feel, think about, and act on. These dimensions aren't unlimited. Your mind operates in some of them, and not others. The ones it operates in define your cognitive world. Not every mind works in every dimension. Some dimensions are simply absent from your experience. Not hidden, not forgotten, not misunderstood. Absent. You don't know they're there because you've never operated in them. They aren't part of your world. This is different from not knowing something. If I don't know the capital of Mongolia, I still know there is a capital. I just lack the fact. I could look it up. That's ignorance. Ordinary missing information within a dimension I already operate in. Unawareness is deeper. It's not missing a fact within a dimension you operate in. It's missing the dimension itself. You can't look up what you can't conceive of looking for. You can't check a blind spot you don't know exists. The very category of experience is absent. Imagine someone who has spent their entire career in quantitative finance. They're brilliant at formal systems, data, models, measurement. They walk into a negotiation and they see numbers, positions, leverage, outcomes. What they don't see, what isn't even on their radar, is the felt quality of the relationship in the room. Not because they're ignoring it, because that dimension of experience hasn't been developed. They don't have the equipment to register it. Someone else in that room, a seasoned community organizer, sees the relational texture immediately. They feel the trust, the guardedness, the unspoken dynamics, but they might be blind to the structural incentives and formal constraints that the quant sees effortlessly. Neither person is stupid, neither is ignoring information. They each operate in different dimensions of the same situation. Your blindness isn't random, it follows from where you stand. Everyone has a home base, a place they think from, a foundation that grounds their understanding of the world. Your foundation illuminates the dimensions closest to it and leaves the dimensions farthest from it dark. The quant's foundation is formal measurement. The organizer's foundation is felt relationship. Each foundation casts its own characteristic shadow. Because blindness follows from foundation, it has a shape, and the shape is predictable. If I know where you stand, I can tell you what you probably can't see, not because I've tested you, but because the structure of your foundation determines the structure of your blindness. Every foundation illuminates a region and leaves a complementary region dark. The dark region is inferable from the bright one. This predictability is what makes unawareness strategically significant. If I know what you can't see, I can operate in your blind dimensions. I can make moves you can't model, pursue strategies you can't detect, build advantages you can't even conceive of defending against. Not because I'm smarter, but because I'm working in a dimension that doesn't exist for you. Suppose reality starts pushing back through your blind dimension. Something is going wrong in the area you can't see. What happens? The disruption doesn't arrive labeled, "This is from a dimension you don't have." It arrives through the dimensions you do have and gets misread. The quant feels the negotiation going sideways and interprets it as a pricing problem. The community organizer sees the organization struggling and interprets it as a trust problem. Each one translates the disruption into their own language, applies their own tools, and gets a solution that doesn't quite work. The translation feels plausible. The solution feels reasonable, but the problem doesn't go away. This is the trap. Your strongest dimensions are where you interpret everything. And because they're strong, the interpretations feel plausible every time. Each individual failure looks like a normal problem with a normal solution. You apply your best tools more vigorously. The problem persists or worsens. Your strength becomes the thing that prevents you from seeing what your strength can't reach. It's only when you step back and see the pattern of repeated failures that never resolve that you start to sense something else is going on. Not any single failure, the shape of the failures taken together. They keep recurring. They keep resisting your best tools. The pattern itself is the signal that something outside your current dimensions is at work. That moment, when you sense something is wrong but can't say what, is the beginning of development. Not the arrival of a new fact, the dawning of a new dimension. You feel a disturbance that your existing framework can't name. Something real is pressing against the boundary of your world. But the new dimension doesn't open automatically. Several things have to be true at once. You have to feel the disturbance, not just analyze it. You have to tolerate the discomfort of not knowing, rather than rushing to explain it away with your existing tools. You have to hold the tension. Sit with the fact that your framework is failing without collapsing into either denial or panic. And you have to be oriented toward growth, attracted by the felt sense that there's something real here worth reaching toward, even though you can't yet name it. Not driven by fear or pressure, but drawn by a quality you can sense before you can articulate. This orientation is what makes development genuine rather than merely reactive. When all of that comes together, something shifts. Not gradually, suddenly. A new dimension opens. And when it does, you don't just see one new thing. Your whole architecture reorganizes. New connections form between things that were previously unrelated. Capacities you didn't have become available. You become, structurally, a different kind of agent. This is what leveling up actually is. Not learning more within your existing framework, gaining a framework dimension you didn't previously have. And it's irreversible. Once you've opened a new dimension, you can't unopen it. You can neglect it, under-resource it, let it go dormant. But the structural capacity persists. You can't be made to unsee what you've seen. Each breakthrough permanently expands what you can perceive and respond to. Each expansion permanently closes one avenue through which someone else could exploit your blindness. When someone knows your foundation, they know your blindness. And they have a choice. They can exploit it, operate in your blind dimensions for their advantage. They can maintain it, shape your environment so you never encounter the disruptions that would trigger your development. They can facilitate it, bring you into genuine contact with people who see what you can't, and protect the space where you can hold the tension. Or they can force it, overwhelm your existing framework until it breaks. Exploitation and maintenance are easier in the short run. Preventing someone's development requires blocking only one condition: suppress the felt signal, overload their capacity to hold tension, keep them away from people with different foundations, or frame everything so their existing tools seem adequate. Facilitating development requires all the conditions to be met simultaneously. The deck is stacked toward keeping people blind. But the ratchet favors development over many rounds. Each breakthrough permanently reduces the attack surface. Each closed blind spot is one fewer dimension of exploitability. Over time, if development continues, interactions that used to be exploitative become cooperative, because the information asymmetries that sustained the exploitation dissolve as awareness expands. The short-run advantage belongs to prevention. The long-run advantage belongs to development. The most advanced form of this awareness is awareness of awareness itself, the capacity to model your own blindness, recognize where your foundation leaves you vulnerable, seek out the encounters that would expand your dimensions, and detect when someone is actively preventing your development. This capacity comes from having been through the breakthrough cycle enough times to recognize the pattern: tension, holding, shift, reorganization. Once you can see that pattern in yourself, you can work with your own development deliberately. Every mind, every organization, every community stands somewhere. Where you stand determines what you can see. What you can't see isn't hidden from you. It's absent from your world. That absence is structured, predictable, and consequential. Development is the expansion of your world through held tension. And the quality of your engagement with your own blindness, whether you exploit it in others, maintain it for advantage, or work to dissolve it through genuine encounter, determines the long-run character of every strategic relationship you're in.